It's Pipes Drums, and it's May 2023, and we're really pleased to have with us today Eric Stein. He's coming to us from Florida, where he's been living for the last 4 or 5 years after being a born and bred native New Yorker. And Eric, we wanted to have him on for a couple of reasons. Launched a couple of big contests recently, but also most recently, trying to get a coalition or a trust together of interested parties with an eye to possibly purchasing the Husabost Estate, where the cairn to the MacCrimmons is at Borreraig. So, Eric, thanks a lot for taking the time to meet with us today.
Andrew, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about this latest scheme.
Yeah, you bet. It's you're an impresario, I think is the way to put it. You've always got projects going. You're one of the people, the movers and shakers in the piping world for sure, for many years. But this latest project, what do you think? Tell us a little bit. What are you trying to do? What's your goal with it?
Yeah, first, I mean, this just came up within the past 2 weeks. I was on LinkedIn, happened to see you and MacCrimmon posted the fact that the estate was for sale. And then it took me a few days to organize a call with him, talked about the estate, what's involved. And I just think, gee, wouldn't it be great if we could do some kind of, I don't know if crowdfunding is the right word, but getting a group together of like-minded piping enthusiasts, people who and raise the money to buy this and do the right, make it a piping college. This is not to compete with piping schools, but have them come in and rent it for a week or a month or a weekend and run their school there. And I'd like to get the worldwide piping community behind it. And so far the responses have been from all the major piping areas around the world. I have people saying, yeah, I'd be willing to invest. Tell me more. And it's very early. I mean, I have a lot of work to do.
Interesting. So, how would it work? Is it that coalition or a trust that would be managed in a central way out of the UK? What's your vision for the
Yeah.
contributions and the owners of this?
Great. Yeah, great question. So that's, I've got experience being on the boards of public companies in the US, some size. I've been in business for a long time. I've set up company charity myself, but that's all US based. I really have zero knowledge of how to do things in Scotland, which has their own legal system. So what I'm trying to do is find folks, subject matter experts, lawyers, accountants, whatnot, folks who have set up a business, and to give me some advice on the best way to do that. Right now, just in my own limited mind, I'm envisioning we get together. I just scratched numbers on a piece of paper. Said, hey, it's $1,322,000 is the current asking price. Figure at least $1 million to refurbish the Laird's home. So £2.5 million. How do I get that? I get 500 people to put up £5,000. All right.
Interesting.
And I've got people who said, well, I could do 50 or I could do more. Or I said, okay, will it be some shares and voting? But the exact structure, not sure. But about a week after I saw the initial ad on LinkedIn, there was another one came up for the Spey Bay Golf Club, which Ewan's company was also putting on the market. And now it's in the process of being sold to a group of 4,000 or 5,000 golfers who have an online golf club, and they use things like NFTs and whatnot to fund and to buy this club, and they're going to restore it. It's a derelict golf club. I mean, it's really absolute parallel to what I'd like to see us do with the Husabost Estate, is to get a group together to do that, to buy it, refurbish it, piping school, corporate retreat in the months that are not good for piping, and or tourist housing, tourist accommodations at some level. I'm not asking for charitable donations. I am putting up all the warnings that there is risk involved. I don't know if this would be a moneymaker. I'm hoping that it would turn a profit each year. so we could do more and do more for piping. But no one's going to be. There's not going to be a Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos out of this. That's not the plan. It's to do something for piping.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that pipers and drummers, they're not in it for the money for sure, and they're passionate people, and they get behind things, whether it's for themselves or for their band or their association. So you may be onto something here, and I can't help but thinking, the MacCrimmons. This is about as far, when you're talking about non-fungible tokens and things like that, and NFTs. It's about as far from the MacCrimmons as you can get. You would wonder. And on that note, the actual ruin of the MacCrimmon College is on the property too, if we're not mistaken. So would you have an eye to redeveloping that somehow?
The ruin is there. There we have to look at what can be done within, because it's a historical site. There is the remnants of the St. Francis Church, where supposedly Patrick Og MacCrimmon went to church, and where in a derelict gray cemetery there is where the children are buried, his children, from the Lament for the Children. I mean, for pipers, the Piper's Cave is on the property. The cairn is on the property. I can't think of a better spot. Plus, forgetting the piping aspects of this, for the folks, you can look at the pictures on LinkedIn that Ewan has put up. It is an incredible site. Cliffs, waterfront. I mean, it's absolute, beautiful estate. In terms of all the things that can be done, I'm not sure, but we could, about 130 acres around the house can be developed without any major restriction. You cannot change the facade of the structure. The sash windows and whatnot, that has to remain the same. Inside, I think you could pretty much do what you want. But of course, we'd like to keep it a modern, make it modern facilities, but with a touch of looking like it looked. The main part of the house was built in 1770 or thereabout. So it's got a few years on it. And you think about, this house was put up before the U.S. was a country. It's
cool.
Cool.
It's the possibilities are endless. Given the right investment, and really interesting idea about having the property as a full-time school being operated. Once again for piping for people worldwide, and possibly staying on the Isle of Skye. So okay, so what if people are interested watching this or reading this? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, one, you could send me an email. It's Eric M. Stein 53@gmail.com, or they can call me 631-241-5757. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Messenger, everything, so they can find me out there. Just look at any of the things on the Sun Belt or the Ardmore Cup. My contact information is there. I'm not looking to take anyone's money at this point. I'm trying to get an idea of who would be interested in, getting involved. I had put on Facebook, I just did some quick math and said, hey, we're going to need at least £2.5 million to buy it, renovate it. How do you get that? You get 500 people give £5,000 each, or invest £5,000 each, and that's how you start. I've had people say, well, I could do a lot more than that, or I don't want to do as much. I need to figure that out. I need to figure out how to set up either a private entity in Scotland, or a public company where we sell shares. I have shares in Manchester United as a fan. I'm not looking to get rich on that. But the other thing I really need right now is subject matter experts. Whether you're a piper or not, if you're an estate lawyer in Scotland, an accountant, someone who's had experience in setting up a business, I would love to hear from you to help us come up with some ideas of how to structure this. And if I can assemble interested subject matter experts, that might be the beginning of putting a board together to then come back out and seriously seek the funding for it.
Yeah, fantastic. While we've got you, just wanted to touch briefly on a couple of other great projects that have been, by all accounts, very successful. The Sun Belt Invitational, which is now expanded to an amateur competition as well, and then the Ardmore Invitational in Ireland, which branched off of or was inspired by the Sun Belt. So, how are those things going? Happy with them?
Fantastic. Right now, I'm back and recovered from the Ardmore Cup. And heads down on the fundraising for the Sun Belt, which has gone exceptionally well. As you mentioned, we added, it's going to be the Sandy Jones Memorial Amateur Championship. There'll be 2 events. There will be the David Bailiff Memorial Pibroch event, and Linda McBride, who's the wife of Piper Patrick McBride, who passed away, is sponsoring the MSR segment of that contest. 4 people have already qualified for that. It was Margaret Houlihan who coined it the mini Glenfiddich. So for the Sandy Jones Memorial Contest, you've got to win something, or at least 9 of the spots. There's one I've got to figure out. I still have a 9th, because I reached out last year to different games committees about sponsoring open players, and some I had sponsored by bands. But 9 of the spots for the amateur. One is from the winner of a class competition, an online contest that's already taken place. The winner from Dunedin, the winner from the Fair Hill that just happened this week, and the winner from the Atlantic Pibroch Challenge. James McCaddy has been another one that's been great. I mean, the cooperation from the different games committees have been fantastic in terms of support. And there's a few more remaining. So the Ohio Scottish Games, they just came on board. So the winner of the Grade 1, the Piper of the Day, will receive an invite. Grandfather Mountain's coming up in July. Schenectady Games have come on as to sponsor a player. Yeah, it should be good. And it's really, the folks that have won so far are all, high caliber, top end Grade 1 players. It's going to be a really good event. The other thing I just want to mention, some folks were not happy that I'm having it on Veterans Day. And I didn't have any choice. I originally had worked with the hotel to move it to the next weekend, and then they came back and said, sorry, we can't do that. One, a lot of bands and individuals are playing gigs and doing things on Memorial Day, but we're going to do 2 things with the contest with the Sun Belt this year. On the Friday golf outing, happens to be the United States Marine Corps birthday. So we're going to do that night at the donors reception at the hotel. After the golf outing, we're going to do a Marine Corps birthday celebration. There's a little ceremony there where the oldest and youngest Marine cut the cake, and there's a reading of General Lejeune's statement. So we're going to do that. And then Glenn Brown had this great idea for Saturday, is that we're going to get all the open players, I might have had the Grade 1s in there as well, play Amazing Grace in between or before the contest, just to take a moment, to recognize veterans. So
That's a nice touch. And those memorial contests for those 2 people we lost recently, those are nice touches too. Well, Eric, you've always got something cooking, and for someone who moved down to Florida presumably to relax a little bit, you sound busier than ever, which is great. And certainly in piping, we really appreciate everything that you do and that you contribute to the art. So much appreciated there. So keep us posted with everything, and good luck on raising the funds, and we'll be watching closely.
Sure will. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Piping is a huge part of my life. Love doing this kind of things. Continue to play. Headed over to the All Ireland for the band competition in July 1st. So and we're working on some activities for the Ardmore Cup. So, but if anyone's any ideas, any interests, please reach out. Eric M. Stein 53@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Andrew, thank you very much.
All right, excellent. Thanks a lot, Eric.